All right. Welcome to another edition of the New York Power Hour. Tonight, you've got me, you've got Peter, Ram, and Luke on the show tonight. Guys, I'm looking forward to a great hour of New York talk. But first off, I've got to lead off the show by saying the Yankees don't win.
Yeah, it's a nice moment to have the Yankees lose alongside the Mets for the New York Power Hour. Normally the Mets are the only ones keeping up the tradition, but finally the Yankees got with it and lost, which is good because now we get to talk about the fact that the Yankees lost, the Mets lost, the Giants lost, the Jets lost. Everything's back to normal here in New York, basically, and we're right where we should be outside of the 10 minutes of lovely Justin Fields that we got. But this is where we're at, folks, and I'm not thrilled at all. The Mets, with the loss today and the sweep, have essentially ballooned the lead to, I think, 10 games in the division. So the division is all but out of sight for the New York Mets. The Yankees are not in a similar situation. They still could maybe win the division, but the Blue Jays have been sitting around and still kind of holding on to what's going on. And we've got a lot to talk about if we want to be angry and sad. So before we get into being angry and sad, does anyone have any positive New York sports news for the week that we want to discuss?
The Buffalo Bills, the only NFL team in the state of New York, won their Sunday night game. So
that was a great game. That was a really.
I will
really
say, that was at the best game of the week. The Buffalo Bills comeback against the Ravens was probably the best game of the entire week. Outstanding performance, both for gamblers, for fantasy people alike. I think it was way crazy. I mean, you got to be thinking about it too, like in terms of there's storyline behind this game. Anytime Lamar and Josh Allen face off, this is coming off the heights of Josh Allen just winning the MVP when a lot of people felt like it should have been Lamar's. And so huge game by all spectacle there. And the Buffalo Bills are in New York, and they were able to win that game in New York. Huge sign for what Buffalo's looking to do this year, with on paper still a very interesting mix of players. I mean, Keon Coleman's one of the stars of that game. On paper, you wouldn't necessarily think that the Buffalo Bills are as talented as they are outside of Josh Allen, who basically played superhero ball and was a ridiculous performer clutch in that situation. Couldn't ask for a better game script if you're a Bills fan. If you're a Ravens fan, you probably want to jump off a building, because that was a miserable way to lose game one when your team had put together a great performance. Derrick Henry ran all over them, showed the issues that they had. Other sides in football, though, the Jets and Giants were pretty much, I guess, to use the old quote, they were who we thought they were, right? I mean, we can start with the Giants. The Giants just basically got washed up by the Washington Commanders. Russell Wilson, there was already questions, though. I think the interesting storyline, already questions about whether Russell Wilson was going to start another game this season. The Giants confirmed that they were going to start him in game 2, but we have a quarterback controversy after one game for the New York Giants. Russell Wilson did not look sharp at all. Jackson Dart looked sharp in the preseason. Boys, what are we thinking? How many games does Russell Wilson have to start for the New York Giants? Is it more than half the season, or are we going to see a real quick shift to Jackson Dart?
No, I think there's a lot of excitement around Jackson Dart. Very good career in college football with Ole Miss. Had a really good preseason. Showed that he can really play in the NFL. I think it's way too reactionary to put Jackson Dart in right now. You got Russell Wilson for a reason. You got him so that he can be your starting quarterback this season. The expectations are not that the New York Giants are going to make the playoffs this year. You're building for the future. You're giving Jackson Dart the ability to learn and grow behind Russell Wilson, behind Jameis Winston too. I don't think it's coming anytime soon. I don't think the Jackson Dart era is going to start even within the first half of the season. I would say the only factor that really plays in Jackson Dart's favor is the coach is on the hot seat, right? Brian Dable is definitely on the hot seat. If the Giants, I mean, again, I don't know what the temperature is in the front office there, but again, is is it 2 seasons in a row that you don't make the playoffs, or was it just last season? And the season before was the Daniel Jones miracle against the
Correct.
Vikings.
Then they got watched by the Eagles in that game. So yes,
Yeah.
that was a couple of years ago.
Right. So I mean, you have a playoff appearance with Dable, but he's definitely on the hot seat. If he's starting to feel the pressure, then maybe you turn to Jackson Dart. But I don't think that's the move. I don't think that's the right move for the Giants. Again, you have Russell Wilson for the season. Let him play. Let the guys develop and just see how the season plays out.
Luke, I completely agree with you. I think Jackson Dart starting at any point at this season isn't going to do him any good. This Giants team is not very good right now, and you're just going to do more harm than good. Yes, there is a concern about the hot seat, but if the Giants truly think that he is going to be the guy, ownership and the front office and coaches should have basically come together and be like, this year doesn't count. We let this guy develop, and then next year, if we still can't do it, then we can get fired. But I do think that for the sake of Jackson Dart, if you think he's your guy, this year is basically a mulligan.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because I generally agree with what both of you were saying for what it's worth. And I'll pull up some of the stats from the game here just for our sake. Here, I'll bring up a box score. So I do think the big mistake that the Giants could make would be rushing into Jackson Dart so quickly. I mean, I'm not against him starting at some point this season. Injuries might happen, things like that. And they did announce that they went ahead and Jackson Dart is the number 2. The Jameis Winston is not the number 2. So they do feel pretty confident in Dart. And I respect that.
Yeah.
But you can see here, I mean, quarterback rating of 25.5, passing rating 59.3, 17 for 37, 168 yards, no TDs. Yes, he rushed for 44, but all in all, I mean, this game was over early on, and there was really no question for it. It never really felt like they threatened the Washington Commanders. There was a lot of questions about whether Jaden Daniels, after a very, very special rookie year, would come out and look confused or if people had adjusted to him. He did fine. A 7th-round pick of Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt on the Commanders side, or Bill, as he is so affectionately called now, went out there and proved the guys on Reddit that made fun of you for picking him up in fantasy wrong, because the Commanders do like Bill, and they went ahead and rushed 10 for 82 and a touchdown. But it's the tough one. I mean, you can see here that outside of Neighbors and a few throws to Wan'Dale Robinson, pretty dry on the receiving end. The rushing end was very dry. Scatabo rushed twice for -3 yards, right? And Tyrone Tracy, an average of 2.4. The rushing game was non-existent. So it's just a tough one. I mean, again, this is who we thought they were. We didn't expect the Giants to come out here and shock the world with Russell Wilson. But I think, if anything, it just shows more about the fact that some of the guys of yesteryear, like Russell Wilson, at least specifically Russell Wilson, doesn't have it anymore. And I don't mean to be mean about that. I just think that it's kind of that's where we are, right?
No, I don't think you're being mean, and I don't mean to speak for Giants fans either, but I don't think the expectation was Russell Wilson was going to take you to the promised land. You saw it in Denver. He wasn't the guy, and it clearly wasn't Sean Payton, because he was able to take Bo Nix and turn him into a above average quarterback, let's say. Goes over to Pittsburgh. He missed the first 4 games, then kind of lights it up, and then just was absolute doo-doo sauce the last couple of games of the season, and then just didn't even show up for the wild card game, right? Like the expectations for Russell Wilson were not high. The expectations for the Giants are not very high. Again, it's building for the future. You feel really good about Jackson Dart, but you don't want to just throw him into the lion's den right now. Let Russell Wilson take the heat for the bad season, and then give Jackson Dart the ability to learn the system and get ready to go for next season.
Yeah, I think that I agree with I think we're pretty much all in agreement, and that, like, you let Russell Wilson continue to start. I mean, there's no real high expectations for this season for the New York Giants. In fact, losing actually helps you in the long run because you get a better draft pick. But the thing of it is, like, I would try to work Jackson Dart in every now and then. For instance, like if you're in a game that's, where it's pretty well out of hand, say you're down 30 points in the fourth quarter, maybe you put him in and let him throw a few passes just so that he comes in and gets some regular season experience in low pressure situations, and just kind of gets his feet under him. And you kind of do that throughout the year. Maybe the last like couple games of the season, maybe you let him start. I think that could be a good transition plan. I don't think Russell Wilson even has any expectations that he's going to be the Russell Wilson of old. He's sort of their transitional quarterback right now. But I almost feel like it's a little bit sad seeing one of the guys that, man, he's been one of the most fun players to watch in the league over the last 15, 20 years, kind of become a shell of his former self. It's almost like, you almost wish that Russell Wilson may have retired a year or two ago, just because it's kind of sad, in my opinion, to see how far his game has fallen.
Now, one last thought on this game here before I move on to the Jet side to everyone, just from a fantasy perspective. Do you have any fears about scary Terry McLaurin and his performance here against the Giants? I mean, Deebo Samuel was the big acquisition for the Commanders going into this season, and he immediately made dividends, 7 for 77. He also rushed for a touchdown, as you can see above. So overall, an outstanding game. Led the target share by a huge margin with 10 targets compared to some of those guys getting about almost the same combined, right? Do you have any fear for Terry McLaurin that Deebo Samuel has taken over that spot and that Terry has become the number 2? Or do you not feel that fear after week 1?
No, I think it's going to be a good duo for the season. I know McLaren was having issues. He was having issues with his contract during the preseason, right? Yeah, missed camp.
Mm-hmm.
Good point by Chris there. He just needs time to get back, get adjusted into the system. Yeah, I mean, they turned to Deebo this week, but they could easily turn to McLaren the next week.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I think he's, Terry's going to get his touchdowns. So I'm not really worried about him. Chris made a great point.
I have some concern, honestly, but not in the sense of like I'm ringing the alarm bells. But I watched Deebo a lot with San Francisco for a long time. I've always liked Deebo Samuel, and they worked in a position where Ayuk and those guys were like pseudo number 1 receivers. They technically were your number 1 guys, but there were a lot of weeks fantasy wise that Deebo was the guy. The problem was that Deebo was also not the guy in a lot of those weeks. It was a coin flip, and so I do think while for the sake of the Commanders as a team, it's a great thing. For fantasy purposes, I think it does cut into McLaurin because at the end of the day, I mean, I know that, yes, Terry missed camp and he was slow to jump out there, but I mean, that's 10 targets to 4, and you also consider that Deebo got the ball rushing and they won handily. If this is a recipe for success for them, I don't necessarily see why they need to go away from it outside of Terry's ego.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about the NFL here. Right, teams are going to make adjustments. Teams are going to stack up against Samuel. You need your additional weapons, right? So McLaurin's he's going to be used. Like there's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of getting back into the swing of things. It's not easy doing that. I know some of the guys who are having contract issues, like we could talk about Micah Parsons, but the Packers didn't really use him, right? They didn't use him that much. I know everyone talks about the big sack. It was really like a fourth quarter, sack. It was actually kind of lame, but anyway, scary. Like he's gonna get his touches. He's gonna get his touches in, and it's gonna be fine.
Good. Well, in the same vein that we talked about Russell Wilson not being the guy from before, as much as I hate to talk about it, even if it's only for one game, it looked like someone was able to turn back the clock, motivated by petty revenge, and that was Aaron Jackass Rodgers. So the Steelers-Jets game, in terms of the Sunday games, I would say, putting my bias aside, was probably the most exciting game outside of the Ravens and Bills game, because this was a pretty intense back and forth between sloppy teams. But it was fun football. Justin Fields showed up in a big way for the Jets. I mean, they lost on the leg of a 60-yard field goal by Chris Boswell in a rough fourth quarter, and they could have very well won this game. It was Aaron Glenn's coaching debut. We did see that after a key fumble, they released punt and kick returner Xavier Gibson, who was probably on thin ice anyway. I don't think that he was somebody who was long for the job. And, but at the end of the day, I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers was extremely motivated here because he went out there after the game and said that he just wanted to beat anyone associated with the Jets. So you know that in his cute little anti-vaccinated apartment that he's got a dream board up and he just wanted to kill the Jets. So good for him. He got to do what he wanted to do. But for the most part, if we can talk about the positives for the Jets, both fantasy and otherwise, there was a lot of worry about whether Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields were going to be fantasy options against the Steelers' vaunted defense, and they had really, really good weeks. Justin Fields had a great week, was one of the top scoring quarterbacks of the entire league. Breece Hall, 19 for 107 on the ground and also caught a few passes as well. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 95 off 9 targets with a touchdown. I mean, this is about what you could have hoped for from the Jets offense, folks, right?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Listen, there's a lot of mixed emotions about this game. Obviously, yeah, of course, it's the most Jets loss ever. Of course, they lost in a 60-yard field goal when your quarterback out exceeded everybody's expectations. Honestly, as far as Justin Fields, the quarterback goes, the jury saw it if he's a good quarterback, but dude got that fucking dog in him. I will absolutely say that.
There you go. I'm glad to hear you at least say the nice things.
Listen,
yeah.
If I can, I'll speak freely. I've always liked.
I would hope you do.
I've always liked Justin Fields. I liked him when he was with the Bears. I liked him when he was with the Steelers. I thought he got a raw. I thought he got a raw deal. But when he came to the Jets, it wasn't about Justin Fields. It was about the Jets. Everything the Jets touch turns to just shit. I still think Sam Darnold was probably the most talented quarterback out of that draft class. But once the Jets drafted him, I was like, well, this guy's career's over. And then he left, and he did pretty good with the Vikings. Did pretty good. Geno Smith made a nice little career for himself after he left the Jets. Aaron Rodgers does nothing for 2 years with the Jets. Looks terrible. The team does nothing. He leaves in his first game. He's prime Aaron Rodgers again. So it was much more of an indictment on the Jets than it was Justin Fields. But listen, is some of this offensive play that you saw on Sunday because the Steelers defense was kind of bad? Maybe. I don't know. All I know is I can see what's in front of me. Justin Fields, there were 3 throws that I thought were picked immediately, but he threw perfect strikes to where only the wide receiver can get it, and he made big first downs. He made a beautiful long throw to his Ohio State compadre, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall looks like the Breece Hall we saw before that injury. So is it a case of the Steelers defense just kind of bad and the Jets took advantage of it? Or, a case of the Jets players want to do nice for their new head coach? Maybe. But I think they showed a lot more promise than I certainly expected of them. The only thing I asked for the Jets this year was to be watchable, and on Sunday, they certainly were watchable.
Yeah, it was an exciting game, and I think that this is actually something that Jets fans can feel good about because, I mean, the offense scored points, and I don't know. I think it's something to be hopeful about.
We lost to a 40-year-old quarterback. There's nothing to feel good about.
Okay,
we lost to an old man.
What?
We lost to an old man. Got our ass beat by an old man. Nothing to feel that good about. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I thought it was exciting football. I thought the team looked like they could put some things together offensively. I think that there's room for optimism about. I don't think there's any delusions that this is going to be a playoff team, but I think that this pretends to be a fun football team to watch, and there is room for optimism that the team can grow from this.
Let me give you a positive here. Let me give you a positive. You have Aaron Glenn, who's coaching his first game against the currently tenured coach in the NFL, and Mike Tomlin, who is recognized as one of the best game managers in the league. The guy wins games with above average teams, right? Good defense, very good defenses. Subpar offenses, and still finds a way to win double-digit games season after season. You lost on a 60-yard field goal in the last minute of the game. I feel pretty damn good about that. Your quarterback played well. Your offensive line protected him. He was sacked once. He ran for 48 yards. He hit his targets. He hit Garrett Wilson. He gave the ball to Breece Hall. There's a lot to feel good about. And it sucks that you were playing against a quarterback who is motivated for one game and then will shit the bed for the rest of the season.
Yes. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%.
You have a first-time coach who went toe-to-toe with the longest currently tenured coach in the NFL. I feel pretty damn good about that.
That's the issue, Luke. It's the hope that kills you.
No, but like at some point you have to, like, you can't just sit there and be like, woe is me. And then if you're woe is you, then don't watch the games, Peter.
Yeah, there's got to be
some building blocks. You know, I'll be honest, if I didn't have the show, I might not have watched that.
No, because look, I told you Justin Fields was going to be fun. He was fun. I told you Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson were going to be fantasy contributors. They were, right? But
I agree with Breece Hall.
Right. But the point to what I think Luke is spot on here, and why I want to echo it, right? You have a rookie game one coach going against Mike Tomlin, right? And how many times we could easily have been sitting here saying, all right, Mike Tomlin outcoached the Jets, right? Mike Tomlin has outcoached the Jets as an organization before for fun. The Jets showed up. Pittsburgh defense is not bad. The Jets showed up.
No, Pittsburgh defense is great.
They carried, and they've been defensive stalwarts for decades. You know, so like it's one of those things where Pittsburgh defense is good, and the Jets put up 32 points and kept it rolling, man. Like this was a team that showed up prepared and motivated. And I love the fact that they released Xavier Gibson. Said, you know what, if you're gonna screw up like that, we don't want you on the team. He was on thin ice. We got rid of Xavier Gibson. Fine. Yeah. Like this is culture looks like a thing here. They showed up motivated to play for their guy.
I will listen. I will say, as reluctant as I am to give praise, it seems like the offensive line played really well, and that was a huge concern going into this season. Our rookie offensive lineman looked fantastic. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but my God, he looked great. In fact, I believe he was the highest rated lineman in week one. So that's a great sign. It looks like DJ Reed, the loss of DJ Reed in the offseason really hurt. The number 2 cornerback Stevenson kind of got exposed a lot. But in the end, the last point I want to make for positives is last year the Jets were the worst rated team as far as penalties. They had some penalties, but it was mostly reined back. And the biggest one they got, a 15-yard penalty, they really got it for defending their guys. So I'll take those all day. That's good. That shows that the team's together. At the end of the day, you did lose this game because of a 60-yard field goal, but also your own special teams. Xavier Gibson, as we mentioned, fumbled the ball. That turned into 7 points for them. That dude has really been – the only reason why he's here so long is because he scored a punt return touchdown 2 years ago. That's the only reason why he's still here. And then Nick Folk missed an extra point, which forced you to go for 2 twice and missed both times. So, if you fix up the special teams, you probably win on Sunday. So, there is definitely optimism. As much as being optimistic with the Jets hurts my heart, but we look forward to week 2. Unfortunately, it's against the Bills, so that could turn ugly quick.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup. And Peter, I want to echo your point there because as you were making your point, I was actually looking at penalty yards and how many penalties that the Jets had committed, because that was a big part of the broadcast, right? Was the Jets were the most penalized team in the NFL last year. They had penalty issues during the preseason. You have a first-time coach, and typically teams are a little bit lackluster with their discipline. And they were middle of the pack. They were middle of the pack in penalties, total penalties, but they were on the high side for penalty yards given up. So there's room for improvement. And to your point too, your offense didn't lose you the game, and your defense didn't lose you the game. It was your special teams that lost you the game. And those are fixable things. And it's clear that the front office has already addressed that, right? If you're gonna fumble a punt, you're gonna fumble a kickoff, you're out.
And it wasn't a reactionary thing. I want to make that clear. It was not a reactionary cut for just missing this one. It's been a ongoing issue.
Yes, he's been on thin ice, as I'm very clear about it, and I think it's okay. I also, if Arian Smith is a guy that can get his hands together, maybe he's not a super successful wide receiver, but based on speed alone and elusiveness, he might be a good kick returner. We did see Arian Smith return a kick for them, so that might be fun. We saw Mason Taylor pick up his first career catch for 20 yards on a very nicely run route, too. So I don't expect them, looking ahead to next week, to somehow dominate the Bills at all, especially with them coming off a nothing short of a miracle win against Baltimore. I mean, the Jets would have to have some kind of miracle of their own to pull off a win against the Bills. But we'll see. It's the little things that matter right now, to what you guys are saying. If they can keep the penalties low, right, and they show up and the effort is high and the mistakes are high, in terms of mistakes are low, rather, there's nothing wrong with losing to a better constructed team right now. So we'll see what happens with the Jets going into next week. But as to keep the misery train going, they weren't the only teams to lose in New York this week. The Yankees and Mets did a lot of that, right? So let's figure this one out. I mean, where do we want to go, folks? Because there's a lot of misery to talk about in the baseball world. The Mets just finished being swept by the Phillies. The Yankees are up against the Tigers. They lost today, gave up 11 runs, I think, after what was originally a solid start from Rodon. If I'm not...
Yeah, the combined score was 22-4 between the two New York games tonight. So
thanks for that, Ash.
Wow,
very cool.
Yeah, they're not having fun, but let's so there. I saw, we'll talk about a few things we've talked about before already. Luke, I saw that Boone was being questioned about Anthony Volpe, about Caballero. He said he thought about having Caballero take the starts, but hopefully Volpe's going to be our guy and help us down the stretch. Do you think it's manager talk, or do you think we're just going to see a little bit more of Caballero really quietly and we're going to see less of Volpe?
I think I've said this on the cast before. The Yankees game finished. We lost 11-1. I'm sitting there at the end of the CBL show, and I see the MLB app notification pop up. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, this is it. Like, we're going to fire Aaron Boone right here. Like, now's the time. Like, I'm going to pull this up and it's going to say breaking news. The Yankees have fired Aaron Boone. And it's just a fantasy. It's just a pipe dream of mine. It's an awful take at this point. He is the worst player in the MLB right now, possibly. I think Ty was saying last night he's batting like 180 OBP right now since July. The dude doesn't walk. He doesn't get hit. He doesn't get hit by the pitchers. And he's seeing strikes. Like, he's seeing strikes too. Like, the amount of times that he's seeing strikes and he's still just not getting on base. I said this 2 months ago. One of his best tools is his speed. Just get on fucking base. Just get on fucking base, bro. That's it. And he's not doing it. And I don't know. He should have been sent down months ago. And now you're just kind of stuck. You're absolutely stuck. And now you're going to start Caballero at shortstop. That's
he started today, and it's not like he's been bad. It's just at the end of the day, I mean, he seems to be a better option than Volpe right now. We saw a bit of a common theme for both New York teams today, where the bullpen just couldn't keep it together, right? And Rodon did not look so bad today, and he has not over his recent starts. Rodon, by the time we do next week's show, I mean, he might be a spotlight type of guy that'd like to sit down. He's been pitching very well down the stretch for the Yankees, but after Rodon, it was a shit show, right? Because Leiter Jr. allowed a run, Duvall allowed 3, Weaver allowed 3, getting just 1 out, Hill allowed 2 runs, and it feels like it's just. I feel like the Yankees and Mets have kind of had very similar ebbs and flows to the season, where like they have different problems, but they win together and they lose together. And the air has been kind of sucked out of New York right now. I mean, the Mets got stomped because they got swept, and I hate to talk about it because it sucks. But we went from sweeping the Phillies and maybe feeling good about that on our home turf to being swept over there in some winnable games mind you, right? I mean, Nolan McLean with another good start out there. But they couldn't hit, and then when they could hit, the bullpen couldn't keep it together. The wheels are falling off for Sean Manaea, Clay Holmes. It is a frustrating time for everything.
When they dropped
right?
2 out of 3 to the Reds, and the Reds are winning again tonight. So if they were to pull that game out, you're suddenly looking at 2 games up in the wild card on
What's
the Reds.
The Giants score?
The Giants lost today, so that lead will stay at 2 games on the Giants.
Yeah, the fear now, I mean, and we can talk about it as a collective unit. There's fear that the Mets might not make the playoffs with the squad, especially if they continue to play this way, right? I mean, I'm not on that boat. I have to be honest. I am very disappointed in the way the Mets have played. They have played like ass. I just feel like they're good enough to at least get through and into the wild card, and I will believe in them if they get there. However, it's been rough as hell. I mean, Peter, you were quoting the stat on the CBL show, right? They're the third worst team.
I have the fourth worst team. I have the full stat. So this is since June 13th. So quite a sizable sample size.
3 months now? Yeah, about 3 months now.
Yeah, the Rockies are 27-50. The Twins are 28-49. The Nationals are 30-46. And the Mets are 31-45. Don't forget, during that month, the last month of August, the Mets had the best offensive month they've had in the history of their franchise. The Mets, a couple weeks ago, swept the Philadelphia Phillies so badly that Philly fans were accusing the Mets of cheating. And in that time span, we're now 10.5 games behind the Phillies. I still think the Mets do make the playoffs, but I am about as worried as you can be. It's unacceptable the way they're playing. When Soto first came here, there was a whole lot of talk about that. And there was talks that he's not having a good season. If Juan Soto wasn't on this team, the Mets absolutely would not make the playoffs. The season he's single-handedly carrying this team. There have been some ups and downs from some players. Vientos right now is playing a lot better. Contrary to the popular belief that Ram likes to say about Beatty, it's hilarious that this is a down season for Vientos, but he still has a better on-base percentage than a career year for Brett Beatty. So take that for what it's worth. But the pitching hasn't been good enough. Ryan Helsley has been an absolute disaster. Cedric Mullins has been even worse. It doesn't seem like Helsley fixed his pitching problem because it's his tipping problem, because in the blowout loss to the Phillies, he did get a scoreless inning, but he just decided to spam sliders and curveballs. So you can't tip that because it's the same arm slot. So we'll see what happens. I am very concerned. I do think they squeak in. But that is after once you get I don't have any hope after this weekend. You probably lose in the first round.
Yeah, there's you touched on a few things that I want to talk about. I mean, let's start with the record, right? I mean, the Mets are now after they were. I don't know if it's after today's game, if they're 76-70, or if it
probably add one more to that. Probably add
right 76-71. So this is a game. This is a team that is a few games above 500, right? So let's see if I can. I want to double check that because I think it might be 76-70 after today. But so let's say 76. Let's say there's 6 games above 500, right? I mean, a regular season, if you just extrapolate that over 162 games, that is what, an 88 win team, an 87 win team, right? So an 87 win team, it's not nothing special. And I think that's frustrating because if we're being honest, the amount of talent that's supposed to be part of this Mets squad, 87 wins is not going to cut it. I mean, if you looked at the squad going into the year, regardless of the things that have happened, the good things, the bad things, the good stretches, the bad stretches, the injuries, whatever, right? If you told me going into this year that this is a squad that would win less than 90 games, not only would I have thought you were crazy, but I would have been like, no, that doesn't make sense. That does not fulfill the goal, right? And far be it for me to like dump on the Juan Soto contract, because this is not a salary cap sport. So for me, I think when people are like, oh, you pay the guy $765 million, I'm like, it's not a salary cap. If it is, they're gonna strike. So I mean, as of the moment, it's not a salary cap sport. So for me, I don't really care about those numbers. I think about just putting the proper talent together is the move. And the organization showed that they cared about that. Kudos to Cohen. Right. But if you looked at this team on paper and you thought this isn't a 90-win team, like if they continue this pace and they finish 88 wins, right? I mean, we're now 76 and 70 is what, 146 games. So there's less than 20 games left in the season, which we know. And so even if they win 10 of them, right? If they go 500 the rest of the way, they're still looking at maybe about 87, 88 wins. You've got to say that that's a bit of an abject failure.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And there's this Mets season has so many subplots. In a weird way, it very much reminds me of last year. I feel like it's a bit of a flip of the script there. The Phillies last year started out like a house on fire. Nobody could beat them. And then the second half played 500 ball. And we already know what the Mets did last year. But in complete contrast to that, the Mets have not won a game when down in the eighth or more. So they have no comebacks. Last year, that was a trademark of the team. It took a miracle home run in the House of Horrors in Atlanta to make the playoffs. And then it took an even bigger miracle home run for Pete Alonso to hit his home run to, make us play the Phillies in the playoffs. So it's hard to say that there's no fight. Like, I don't like to say that because, like, I think they care, but it feels like they're, and even in some of their comments, it's just like, oh, we just got to get into the playoffs and, we'll like reset. You hear some of that kind of stuff, like just get into the playoffs and whatever happens, happens. But if you keep resting on your laurels like this, you're not going to make the playoffs. So, like, the time is now. Like, and I don't think that there's an urgency in the clubhouse.
And let me ask you. I mean, you talk about make the playoffs, anything can happen, but I mean, with this roster right now, do you feel like they can make anything happen? Right?
No.
Like we've talked a lot about this starting rotation. I don't feel like it's a starting rotation that's good enough for the playoffs. I don't feel like it's a bullpen that's good enough for the playoffs unless you pitch Edwin Diaz three innings every single game, right? Like that's the only reliever I feel good about right now.
Agreed. Right. And even then, you don't feel good about it. His last save was the most chaotic save I've seen in a long time.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, you are literally holding onto your pants as he's trying to pitch, and he figures it out. He absolutely figures it out, and he is one of, if not the best closer in the game.
Yeah,
but you can't rely on him for multiple innings. How are you getting to him?
That's the question. I mean, honestly, as far as starters, I know I said last week if they didn't make the playoffs, David Peterson's my game one starter. I'm sorry, Nolan McLean is earning that right, and if they are going to make the playoffs, it's going to be off of him. I feel real good about the kids right now. Sproat had an amazing debut. I don't want to let that get lost too much in the shuffle. He's pitching a no hitter, granted 4 walks, but still a no hitter up into like the 5th, I think. So great debut. McLean is so DeGrom coded, it's ridiculous, and so much so up to the lack of run support. So outside of those 3 players and Juan Soto, it's hard to feel good about much of anything. And Edwin Diaz, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets have lost 5 in a row, and I think it takes away from what the good storylines would be, which is the fact that, hey, Sproat debuted. Hey, Edwin Diaz is still locked down, and pull the magician's act out of that save that you were referring to, right? I mean, bases loaded, none out in a 1-run game on the road, and he got out a miss fixing his shoes, which I think was hilarious. Very Metsian type of inning. But Sproat, made his debut up. I mean, we're looking at a possible Mets rotation next year that might involve all homegrown Mets, if not 4 out of 5, right? And that's pretty special. So there's a lot of positives at the end of the day, but it's just frustrating because they cannot put these things together, and it's one thing after another. They can't hit, or the starting pitching doesn't show up, or the bullpen doesn't show up, and it could be any of them. It does feel like the aura's off, and it is interesting because I'm sitting here mad. I mean, 76 and 70, right? But if you look across some of the rest of the league, it's not like they are so far apart from other teams that people thought were going to dominate, right? If you look at the rest of the NL, I mean, the Dodgers are an 81 win team, right? I just feel like with the fact that the Brewers and the Phillies have done so well, that and the Phillies are 10 games ahead of us now, so that's a pretty decent gap, right? But you're 5 games off the Dodgers, you're a few games off the Padres. They're 79 and 76. They hold the second wild card. The Cubs, of course, at 83 wins. I mean, the top wild card team has more wins than the leader in the West over there, which is hilarious. It's always one of those situations. The Cubs have 83 wins, the Dodgers have 81, right?
Yeah, but let me ask you this, right? Are you nervous? Like, if you were a Dodgers fan, are you nervous? Are you nervous going into the playoffs?
Probably not.
No. They have a very good roster. If you're
San Diego, assume they have apathy. If you're a Dodgers fan, I think the best they have is apathy.
Well, they're showing up in the 4th inning to the game. They're not feeling.
I feel like they have apathy at best. But I understand your point. Like, if there's anyone who should be worried amongst these teams, and the Cubs are probably worrying too now, for being honest, because PCA has struggled a lot, and Kyle Tucker is at the IL, and their pitching hasn't looked as strong. So I feel like if we're looking at the wild card, right, and I'll probably bring it up in a moment so we can take a look at what's going on the NL side before we talk about the Yankees a little more. If you're worried, if there's teams that are panicked right now, it might be the Cubs and the Mets, and those are 2 of the wild card teams, right? I mean, let me pull this up here so we can take a look.
I mean, I'll say this. I mean, but the caveat for the Cubs is they have 7 games in hand, right? Like they have not actually.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about making the playoffs there. I was talking about the idea of, like, can you perform
playing in the playoffs?
Because if you're talking about being afraid of making the playoffs or not, number 1 red alarm ringer right now is the Mets, because there are teams chasing on them, multiple teams. I mean, the Giants and Reds have made. And it's not even that the Giants and Reds have made it a race. It's that the Mets have been so bad that they've allowed it to be a race. We'll be honest, right? Because at some points there was talks about the Mets having a chance for a division. And now that's completely out of the window because you're not making up those 10 games the way you're playing right now. Run differential's about the same between the Mets and the Padres, right? The Padres runs allowed. Their bullpen has been nails, so they've been able to survive with scoring less runs. But it's frustrating looking at this because the Brewers were on top of the world and are still currently the best team in the National League record-wise. They're 13 games ahead of the Mets. Phillies 10 games. Dodgers a few games. The Cubs are there. They're fine. 7-game lead. I think they'll be fine too, even with their injuries, that they're going to find a way to make it happen, right? And I know even expected wins and losses, if you see here, the Mets were expected to win 2 games more than they did, which might come down to 1 or 2 games, right? Those 2 games is the lead over the Giants and the Reds right now. But is the alarm being rung in Queens? The answer is yes, as to whether they're going to make the playoffs or not. There is a legitimate fear that the Diamondbacks, the Reds, or the Giants, I mean, they're done playing the Reds. They're done playing the Phillies, though, right? I mean, they finished up these series. We talked about
tomorrow. They play the Phillies.
Oh, it's tomorrow, and then that's it, right?
Yep, they play Friday against DeGrom.
Yeah, because at the end of it, it's this is where we've got. I mean, I'm hoping that the Mets are going to salvage a game here. After we took 3, they took 3 from us. You got to hope to take at least 1 game, not even for the division, but for moral reasons, right? And as you said, they wasted another McLean start. Some of these trade deadline guys have just not looked good. I mean, Mullins has looked terrible. Helsley has looked terrible. What makes some of the trades look worse too is that they moved for Mullins. They moved Drew Gilbert over as part of one of their deals, and Drew Gilbert's been a spark plug over for the Giants. So we might watch a guy that got traded over to the Giants be part of the reason that they take the wild card from us. And that would be incredibly Metsy, but it would still suck.
I'm pumped the brakes slightly on that specific because a couple months ago we were all like, doom and gloom about, like, at least me, still thinking about the PCA trade, about how he was looking like the best center fielder on the planet. He has been kind of turbo dog shit as of late. So, but yes, the fact that I think overall the worst look is the fact that you did the Giants kind of soft sold at the deadline. You traded for a guy, and the Reds' big free trade acquisition was the worst hitter in baseball. So that's fun. That's really cool. It makes you feel really good about yourself, especially since you could have traded also for Harrison Bader instead of Cedric Mullins, and you chose Cedric Mullins, and Harrison Bader just owns you in these 3 games.
I don't know. Yeah, hindsight is 2020, but I think at the time Mullins is a much better.
I would take Mullins over Harrison Bader at the trade deadline.
I would as well, but
I can't fight with the fact that it's very Metsy that you didn't get the guy at the deadline. He also
I just want to be clear, right? Yeah, like just look at his splits. By the way, he came up in August and he sucked, right? And he's been on fire in September, just to shove it to us. This is Drew Gilbert, by the way. I just want to be clear. It's so Metsian to watch that he's hitting for the Giants and now they're on our tail.
Well, and the Giants, like Jung-Hoo Lee has finally started hitting again. The Giants, I am actually a little bit for the Mets. I'm worried about the Giants because they seem to really be coming on. I keep wanting to say I cannot see a world where the Mets don't make the playoffs. But man, Peter, when you're rattling off those numbers as far as the last couple of months go,
the world is there.
5 in a row. Man, I'm starting to get nervous for the Mets. I would have at the deadline. I was very much a proponent that they should have gotten another big bat. I felt like that they should have gone harder after a guy like Eugenio Suarez at the deadline. Man, I don't know. I just can't imagine the Mets not making the playoffs. But at the same time, the Giants are really coming on. I like their team. And the Mets just haven't gotten it done lately, so it's hard. The Cubs, I did want to touch on your point about the Cubs. I mean, you've got Kyle Tucker hurt, and then who could have foreseen Pete Crow Armstrong regressing? 16% swinging strike rate. Nobody could have seen that he would come back to earth a little bit.
I mean, a lot of us talked about this. I don't mean it in a bad way because it's like I'm sitting here hate watching as a Mets fan or something. It's just we didn't think the strikeout rate was going to play this entire year, and that's where we're at. He is an exciting player, but there's holes in his game. In the same way that we were very sharp on saying that Juan Soto was going to be fine, and now he's the first player in the MLB to have a 30th season this year, but nobody cares because the Mets might not make the playoffs, right? Like if the Mets are winning their division, we're getting this shoved down our throats, right? Juan Soto is the second coming. Juan Soto, 30 first guy in MLB to do it this year, blah, blah, blah. Because the Mets are not doing so well, the media narrative is rough, and they're looking almost hoping, I think, that they don't make it. The alarms are being rung over there again, but I mean, do you feel like that? You guys are pretty much secure over there. I'm going to pull up the AL side, right? But, I'll pivot the question in the way that you were thinking too. If the Mets make it, obviously we're worried. We're worried about even making it. If the Yankees make the playoffs, which I assume that they will based on their lead, right? Do you have this fear of a certain team? Do you feel like they're going to do too much? I mean, amusingly, as you can see here, they're keeping on pace with the Houston Astros, so it's not like they're that bad of a squad. They just, every day it could be a new problem, same as the Mets, right? But it looks like they're a little bit calmer on the wild card. They, of course, have a few more wins than the Mets too. I don't know.
I kind of want to distance the Yankees from the Mets woes right now. And I know the Yankees lost the last 2 in Detroit, but you won 2 out of 3 against Toronto. You won 2 out of 3 in Houston. You won 3 out of 4 in Chicago. You swept the Nationals. They're taking care of business. They're taking care of business right now, and you have a 3-game series against Boston this weekend, which, I mean, the Yankees have absolutely sucked against the division. I don't know if that shows up on here, but maybe right the ship here. And here's your schedule. Here's your schedule to end the season for the New York Yankees. 3 games against the Minnesota Twins. 4 games against the Baltimore Orioles, 3 games against the Chicago White Sox, 3 games against the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, and you can see it right in front of us here, right? The White Sox, the Twins, and the Orioles are worst, second worst, and fourth worst in the entirety of the AL.
You have
Somebody wanted the Yankees to get in the playoffs with that closing schedule.
Okay, well, all right. Let's go back to the beginning of the season. I don't think anyone saw Baltimore being this bad.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I know. No, I think the schedule was set up that they thought that the Yankees and Orioles were going to be fighting for the AL East, and here we are. It's the Yankees, Red Sox, and the Blue Jays fighting for the AL East, and the Baltimore Orioles are nowhere to be found. Right.
Well, this weekend, things could really change this weekend. I mean, with
Absolutely.
the Yankees and Red Sox series, and then the fact that the Rangers and Mets are playing this weekend, like, say the Mets were to sweep that series and the Yankees sweep the Red Sox, I mean, things can change in a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely. The AL, I mean, the AL wild card is so crazy right now. Texas is surging like crazy right now. And they have a whole bunch of guys on the IL right now. I think Evan Carter is on the IL.
Mm-hmm.
I think Corey Seager's on the IL. I think
wrong if Tyler Mahle is also on the IL for their arm. So.
Yeah. One of their best arms this year. I have a bunch of old dudes in the bullpen who are just figuring it out, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, they're probably close to signing David Robertson at this point. If he's not already on Texas, and I haven't heard about that.
The Phillies.
He's on the Phillies. Even better. And it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy because I think everyone agreed that Seattle were the darlings of the wild card. I mean, not the wild card, of the trade deadline, right? You picked up Eugenio Suarez. I can't remember the other name that they picked up.
Naylor a couple weeks.
Oh, Naylor. Yeah, they got Naylor too. They addressed the bats. I would say they have the best rotation in baseball. And here they are again, getting towards the end of the season, and they're making it really scary. But
I would say they've won 4 in a row.
Yeah, but again, you're holding on to a 1-game lead over the Texas Rangers, whom again are totally beat up right now, right? But they're a scary team. I mean, they are a scary team in the playoffs, given the rotation, right? They have 5 guys. They have 5 guys who could pitch game 1 easily. So I don't know. They're definitely a scary team for a wild card series. The Red Sox have absolutely surprised me. I thought that they were selling off after shipping off Devers, and they've only gotten better. They've actually only gotten better since trading Rafael Devers. I won't say nice things about Houston because what nice things can I say about Houston?
Nice trash cans.
They are. They bang them really loud. I think Toronto's definitely coming down to earth a little bit. Their bullpen issues are really starting to show. And Tigers are a fundamental team. They're a very fundamental team, and I really don't want to say nice things about them because their manager is a piece of shit too. But
look, I know that you want to distance the Yankees from the Mets struggles, right? But let's talk simple math here, and not even Steiner math. The 3-game lead the Yankees and the Red Sox have over the Mariners is pretty much the same that the Mets have. And you're going into this weekend against the Red Sox, who this year have, David Ortiz your asses and made you guys right. So I know that there was talk. The pitching matchups, I'll bring them up if anything. But I feel like there has to be almost a little more fear, because I know that the goal obviously is, hey, maybe we push and we take the division from the Blue Jays, but the Mets have just got through the schedule that mattered to them in terms of the Phillies and the Reds. We got one more, right? Yeah. But those are their direct stuff. You got a 3-game series coming up right now with pretty much a tie. I mean, they have one more win than you, but you have the winning percentages lead. But if they take 2 out of 3 even. Right, and Crochet's pitching this weekend, so that's an interesting one over there.
Bello. That's an auto win. For Boston. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know. Again, we talk about the Mets rotation. You don't feel confident about it, right? Nolan McLean looked great. Sproat looks great. And that's fine. Again, the Yankees, I mean, you have Max Fried, who's going to start game 1. You have Rodon, who could start game 1 as well. Pitched well again tonight, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Luis Gil has looked great coming back. I would feel confident with Will Warren on the back end of the rotation, and I would also feel confident with Cam Schittler as well. So there is a distance. There is absolutely a distance between how I'm feeling as a Yankees fan and how I perceive Mets feeling.
Right, I get it, but I'm saying you should be more scared, is what I mean.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know what? You're absolutely right. I should be shaking in my boots right now. I shouldn't be sleeping right now.
Yes,
because I'm afraid. I'm afraid that my sports team is not going to make the playoffs.
The Big Daddy Red Sox are coming to town, man. And this is you're facing their 3 best pitchers right now.
And Hunter Dobbins isn't even pitching. So what am I afraid of?
Yeah, I mean, Crochet coming off his best start. Brian Bello coming off ace-level pitching for his last 7 to 8 starts. Lucas Giolito turning back for him. I mean, the banana got smaller again, which is crazy. But
shrinkage.
No, and I'm not necessarily teasing here. I mean, I know that it seems like it might be calmer, but I believe in the fact that the Mets have the guys up that they'll be able to figure it out. And it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be a dominant thing where we're going to cruise in. We're going to go into that last week and like, oh yeah, we're fine. Right. But I do think they'll figure it out. There's just too much talent, in my opinion, within that clubhouse for them not to figure it out. And I have the same thing for the Yankees. I think you guys have enough talent, but I don't know. I feel as much as you have the easy part of the schedule, I think what it is for me is what I'm saying is that the rest of the month you'll be fine. But this series in particular, I think, is the huge pressure.
Yeah.
Because you could lose the lead that you have. I mean, it is mathematically possible that you end up dropping down to the spot that the Rangers and the Mariners are at the end of this series.
Mariners. We could end up where the Mariners are at. I don't think we could. Well, I guess it depends. I guess it depends on tomorrow night.
Right, and obviously, I'm not hoping for that because the Rangers are going to face the Mets this weekend, as we alluded to. So I'm kind of hoping we knock them out of the AL playoff picture, right?
Please.
But I just feel like this series coming up is going to be a big determinant because you're 100% right about the fact that the Twins have fallen off completely, and the White Sox are the Rockies of the AL, and the Orioles are still kind of just figuring things out over there. So if you wanted a better schedule for the last half of September, you couldn't ask for it, right? If you're the Yankees. I remember we talked about this beforehand. They definitely have the easiest path after this Red Sox series. It's just this one's going to shake them a little bit, and we'll see if they can. Now, the flip side, of course, is that if they take 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox, or if they sweep the Red Sox, then they're riding high.
We're feeling good. We're feeling good. And again, it's almost, it's kind of this weird, not even battle for second place, but also battle for the division as well, right? Like if you sweep, I mean, you are encroaching an area towards Toronto. I mean, you're marching right towards them. You win 2 out of 3. You're also probably moving closer in towards them. So yeah, it's a battle for supremacy in the East, and it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great matchup, and I'm hopeful the Yankees can win too. I'm hoping they can sweep. I'm hoping that they can right the ship on the AL East because we've been so bad against all those teams, and I'm not going to sit here and hide behind that fact. We have been awful against the AL East, but we did just win 2 out of 3 against Toronto. So I'm hoping that momentum continues.
If it makes you feel any better about the Texas Rangers being on your ass, while I still don't feel confident about it, the Mets do have all 3 of their rookie pitchers pitching this weekend. So
that makes me feel good.
Also, Ram, this one's specifically for you. Right now, Jonah Tong is scheduled to pitch on September 19th.
Hey, it'll be nice to see him in person as we're heading out there on September 19th. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd love to see him in person and see his little Tim Lincecum impression. But yeah, it's gonna be a rough couple days.
Let's not
I
count
think.
guys the 2-time Cy Young winners.
No, like literally his motion and
The
stuff
mechanics.
is designed after Lincecum.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. It's not a oh, I think he'll be Tim Lincecum thing. Like he's actually like stature wise and mechanics wise modeled it after Tim Lincecum. So don't worry, that's not a. If he could be Tim Lincecum, I mean, I'd lose my fucking mind. That would be outstanding because I
know
Tim
the first
Lincecum.
person you would go talk to if he became Tim Lincecum.
Well, no, it's not going to happen. The Mets can't develop young pitchers. Everybody knows that.
If he becomes Tim Lincecum, we have to smoke
I can't stand that fucking statement. Like, you keep saying it, and it gets under my fucking skin. Like,
how do you think I feel?
You develop Jacob deGrom. You develop Noah Syndergaard. You develop fucking Zach Wheeler. Like, get out of here with that crap. I'm so done with that statement. I really am.
The funniest part to me is I think it wasn't just the Mets thing. It was also about Yankees getting overhyped prospects. And here I am looking across the water at Cam Schittler and having nothing bad to say about Cam. No, but like I have nothing bad to say about Cam. He's looked outstanding, right? And there's a fun set of Yankees arms there that I like. Luis Gil. I've said nice things about Luis Gil, and I always have nice things to say about Luke Weaver. I do believe that some of these guys have like actual talent and they've been developed well. Do I think that some of the times of the day that some prospects get a little bit more hype than others? Like, did Spencer Jones get a little bit more eyes on him because he was a Yankees prospect versus like a White Sox prospect? Probably, right? I think that's a fair thing to say. But when you talk about rankings and things like that, I'll always be the one to say, look, at the end of the day, these publications have reputations to uphold. They can't just sit there and be like, oh, yeah, the Mets are good, and then everyone's going to subscribe to them. No, because they won't take them seriously. But I digress off that situation. I mean, I agree with we've got the young guys coming in this weekend. It should be a little fun for the Mets. I can only hope. But I think in a week, I'm hoping, and I actually believe that both of our sides of the water, the Mets and the Yankees fans, will be a little bit calmer. But it could also be the other way. And we're going to see, right? I don't want to crash out. I don't want to miss the playoffs. As much as I like tormenting the Yankees fans, I don't like tormenting Luke as much, so I don't want the Yankees to miss out either. So we'll see what happens. But your division is definitely, Luke, the most interesting race going down the line because, as you said, whoever makes these moves now, it's going to be a move for the division, not just the wild card. Because there is a future where the Yankees and Red Sox clean up throughout the year, and the Blue Jays are in the wild card. And the Yankees and Red Sox are fighting for the division, and we just don't know what's going to happen. So we're going to see, basically. We're going to see, as Chris posted here, this is what we're probably looking at. Gil versus Gio, Fried versus Bello, and Warren versus Crochet.
I take my Crochet comments back. That's not an auto win. Will Warren's pitching. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a pitcher's duel.
Is Luke Weaver going to come out of the pen for the save?
No, they're going to bring him out in the 6th inning.
Yes, and I'll just have to pitch all 4 to get the save. That's the only way he's going to get a save as the Yankees pitcher is if he pitches like 6, 7, 8, 9 or 7, 8, 9. That's how he gets the old fireman save. That's what the Yankees will do for him. God help me. But yeah, we've wrapped up our New York Misery Hour. This is good. This is nice and therapeutic. So I got nothing good to say. I like some of the Mets. Nolan McLean is pretty good, as Peter says. That's what I got on the Mets side. The Yankees are alive. It's still a few games over 500. They're 15 games above 500, so they're doing pretty good. So they're fine. That's all I got. The Giants and Jets are probably losing again next week. Let's wrap it up. Let's end up for the hour here. Peter, what do you have for me as final thoughts for today's New York Power Hour?
So I don't have a big final thought. I just have a bunch of micro thoughts. Being a catcher for the New York Mets continues to be the world's most dangerous profession, as Luis Torrens got hurt now. Jacob deGrom makes his return to Citi Field on Friday night against Jonah Tong. I kind of hope that they play Simpleman. I think that'd be kind of low-key sick. And shout out to Kodai Senga. Yes, the season has been absolutely terrible, and he has not pitched to expectations. Questions are, is he hurt or not? But he agreed to get sent down to AAA, and he did not have to. So props to him for that, for putting the team first. And good. You don't see much of that these days. So good for you, Coda. I appreciate it.
I think it's a good point. Luke, what do you have?
All right, I got three things. First and foremost, I have the Dodgers Rockies game on right now, and I just realized that Hunter Goodman has 30 home runs this year, and that's sick. Especially because I have him in ABA, and someone traded him to me a couple of years ago. It just kind of as a throw-in. So thank you to that person who traded me Hunter Goodman in ABA.
Joe Adele also has 30 home runs this year, by the way. If you want to have those like weird
things, I have more faith in Hunter Goodman than Joe Adele, but that's a talk for another day. Second thing is, if y'all saw the breaking news for the New York Power Hour, Luke Williams was dropped by the Atlanta Braves. And sadly, the Atlanta Braves have dropped their best relief pitcher, which is just mind-blowing to me. I mean, I don't know how you could let that guy go. He's so good at pitching in games when it's 12-1, and that happens a lot for the Braves this season. So just an odd move by them, especially with the season still going on, and I'm sure they're going to be in a couple of barn burners, and they're going to need Williams. Last but not least, if you all didn't notice, I had my phone up against my ear for part of the show. If you could imagine, I was listening to the CBL show, particularly in the 14 to 15 minute range of the show, and I did in fact say West Virginia. So
nobody heard you.
You actually didn't.
No,
I absolutely did. You have to. We will absolutely go back and listen to it. But I said West Virginia.
To the part where it was after that, and
yeah,
was,
I said West Virginia after.
You can hear the Virginia. So get out of here. I said West Virginia. I know where Marshall is. I know where Marshall is.
I went back and reviewed it and heard you say Virginia.
I'm a very confident man. I know when I'm wrong, and I'm willing to admit it on this show.
You're a pompous ass. No, I'm kidding.
I am a pompous ass too. I will own up to that as well. But I said West Virginia, and I will stick to that for the rest of my life.
God help me. You didn't. I'll finish up. This is the probable starters here coming up. I forgot that we play the Padres after the Phillies, so we're not free of any kind of misery here. But
PTSD.
Yeah, I looked at it, I'm like, oh no.
At least you get the Nationals after the Padres.
Yeah, and Tong will lead off that series there. The one thing I will say that is kind of nice is that to see in a row that we've got Peterson, Tong, Sproat, and McLean, all Mets developed pitchers is a nice thing. That's not even me throwing shade. I enjoy that, knowing that we might see Christian Scott in that last slot after next year. So at the end of the day, it is good to see that they're figuring those things out. I'm hoping, because this Texas series here is going to see here Jonah talk. I heard East Virginia, which isn't even a thing. So I appreciate you, Kyle, for mentioning the fact that he's just making things up. Thank you, Kyle. You can always count on your family to support you and be honest when things matter. But the Texas series, what I was going to point out is that we are going to see Tong, Sproat, and McLean back to back. So at least for that series, it's literally going to be ride or die with the kids. And we're going to see how the Mets figure that one out. I'm hoping that at home, get some home cooking together. The Phillies think we're cheating. Let's give them a reason to keep thinking that. I would like to see something fun happen there. But yeah, off that, Ash, do you have anything to share before we close off for the night?
Yeah. Not sure if you guys are paying attention to this, but Saturday night, there is an excellent fight coming on Netflix.
Yeah.
Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Bud Crawford, two of my favorite fighters of all time. Bud.
We're going Bud, right?
Yeah, I'm going Bud. I mean, Bud has been one of my favorite fighters. I mean, both of these guys are in my top, upper echelon of guys I've liked in my life, but Bud is my favorite, my number one right now. I can't wait for this fight. On Netflix, so it's like you don't have to pay pay-per-view prices, not shelling out $100,000 or $100 to watch the fight, not finding any like sketchy stream site or anything to try and like pirate it. Just get to turn on
Chris
Netflix
is with
and
you
watch
there.
an awesome fight. I'm really excited about this one, and hopefully you guys are too. So
I'm going with Crawford, by the way. I'm actually with you on that one. But on the heels of that, hope everyone watches the fight and enjoys it because I love combat sports. So I'm with all of you. And maybe next week we'll see some happier times for everybody that, well, I mean, if Bud wins, Ash will be happy too. So maybe all four of us can be happy next week. Maybe that we can have something nice to talk about. As Chris says, I like Canelo, like Peter likes the King of Queens.
I like the
It's
King
the
of
best
Queens.
sitcom.
It's just
the
not
best
as good as
sitcom.
Everybody Loves Raven.
they're
Right.
equals.
Before we get into old debates here and Peter jumps across the screen and kills Ash from under the basement or something like that, we're going to wrap up for the night. So again, once for myself, for Luke, for Peter, and for Ash, we're going to close off the New York Power Hour. Thank you for tuning in. You know where to find us, thebestdamnsports.com. If you are listening off Twitter, subscribing is free, and we love you for it forever. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care, and good night.